Those of you that watched my review for Book 3 will know that while it was enjoyable and made some big narrative moves, I still felt it was the weakest episode so far. It wasn't a bad episode at all, and in fact, it made some important reveals that have been hanging over the Longest Journey saga for years, but it failed to match the masterclasses that were Book 1 and 2. In saying this, I honestly felt like I was kicking a beloved and faithful animal that had been following me around for years. I honestly felt terrible. Absolutely justified, but, still terrible. On top of this, in recent months Red Thread Games have not only been working on Book 4, but have also been porting their game engine to the latest version of Unity. I won't go into detail about the process, you can find those details in Ragnar Tornquist's fantastic blog, which I'll put a link for you on screen now, but the short of it is that it nearly killed the studio. Thankfully, it didn't. The board was successful, Book 4 was finished, and now everything is fine. Huzzah! So yes, Book 4. Does the latest episode bring back some of the greatness that was found in the first 2 installments? While I don't think it necessarily gets back up to the same standard, I felt that it was certainly improvement over Realms in many respects, even if it did suffer from a few similar issues. Perhaps the biggest improvement was thanks to the upgrade to Unity 5, as the overall performance was the best that the series has ever been. The frame rate remained in the 50s most of the time, with only a few moments where it dropped to around about 30, and this was with the improved textures and lighting effects making areas much clearer to see. That said, the excessive use of lens flare was a bit much. I honestly thought I had marks on my monitor at one point, but then realised it was just the game wishing to put lighting effects over certain scenes. Admittingly, it's by no means on J.J. Abrams' levels of overuse, but, it could still be something for Red Thread Games to consider next time. With the action taking place exclusively in Marcuria for Book 4, the story took some big steps this time around for both Zoe and Keon, to the point where the endgame is now set up for what will almost certainly be a heartbreaking conclusion. I say this because my choices from previous episodes started to rear their head throughout Revelations. In one case, a choice I had made in Realms with the intention of saving someone actually had the opposite effect, making me feel like an awful human being. So, thanks Red Thread Games. Admittingly, there were less big choices to make this time around, but those that were there were clearly significant in how the final episode will play out. Zoe in particular has a tough choice thrown at her, and series veterans will no doubt be wrestling with how to approach it. In fact, I feel that Revelations could create the biggest divide between those who are newcomers and those who have previously experienced the Longest Journey saga as a result of this choice. There were many callbacks to The Longest Journey and Dreamfall throughout Book 4, which as a fan of the series had me grinning excessively. However, while it was great to see familiar faces and locations again, I did feel that there wasn't that much in the way of exploration. There were some NPC conversations to be found, with some even referencing choices from earlier episodes, which was a really nice touch, but I did feel that I was being funneled down a set path yet again. What I'm trying to say is that I really do miss the breathing room that was in Books 1 and 2. There were also a few interactionless, dialogue-heavy scenes again, although my main complaint from Book 3 isn't anywhere near as problematic as it was in Book 4. In a way, I think that this is an issue with granting so much freedom and choice in earlier episodes, along with needing to deliver important plot points at this stage in the game. I really don't envy the balancing act that Red Thread Games have to go through to get it right, but it's important to note that while it still isn't perfect, I'd say it's definitely better than it was in Book 3. Another complaint that still hasn't been resolved is the volume levels with certain characters. There is improvement, but there were still moments where I couldn't clearly hear what was being said in some internal monologues. Hopefully, with the engine upgrade complete and the graphical performance now at the best it's ever been, there will be some more attention paid to ensuring that the audio levels are more finely tuned in future. Of course, for many of you, these criticisms won't even matter because you're already too invested in the game at this point. What really matters is that the storyline is as engaging as it can be and that you want to follow the journey of these characters. And in that regard, Book 4 absolutely nails it. Zoe and Keon's paths continue to reveal long-awaited secrets, and I was genuinely worried for some of the supporting characters. Crow in particular. God, I love that little guy. At this point, I'm not really sure what to expect from Book 5, but Book 4 has done a great job in getting me hyped for the finale. I'm honestly dreading the outcome of some of my choices, but also looking forward to some much-needed closure. If that isn't an indication of a job well done by Red Thread Games, especially in the face of that engine upgrade, I really don't know what is. In short, while exploration takes something of a back seat this time around, the result means that Revelation sets up a grand finale for Dreamfall Chapters. Previous player choices make some big impacts throughout, and it's clear that there'll be more to come thanks to the key scenes in Book 4. With the game engine's upgrade to Unity 5 a huge success, let's hope that Red Thread Games can focus on delivering an engaging conclusion to Zoe and Keon's journey.